Hello. How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel, and today is a massive one. Today we are doing the preview for Champions League. Pray for Madrid and all that, as people are saying. And I'm not too sure they should be that cocky, to say the least. But the stage has been set. Arsenal versus Real Madrid. Team with insane pedigree in Champions League and in the world football, and Arsenal third biggest team in the England, of course. And it's going to be nuts. I'm not gonna lie, I expect something to go nuts in this game. Whether it's gonna be a positive or negative, of course, remains to be seen, because last time we saw Real Madrid, we beat them. At home it was a 0-0 draw, but away at Bernabeu, thanks to the king, Thierry Henry, we managed to get the job done. So yeah, we are returning to quarterfinals. Last year it was Bayern Munich, and we went out on aggregate 3-2 after playing 2-2 at home and 1-0 away, losing to Bayern Munich, of course. And yeah, Real Madrid with Champions League pedigree, let's be real, it's gonna be scary. It's nothing to sneeze at, to say the least, and it's gonna get nuts. Of course, Arsenal have numerous injuries, Real Madrid have numerous injuries, so definitely we're gonna talk about all that. So if you're excited for this preview, on the agenda today, we're gonna talk about players, managers, key aspects, press conference, starting lineup predictions, all this stuff. So if you're excited about all that, smash the like button, caress it, destroy it, hammer it, all that good stuff. Subscribe if you're new around here, and of course leave your thoughts down in the live chat so we can figure out things here, there, and everywhere. So we are kicking things off with the simple things. Journey to quarterfinals. Let's be real, journey to quarterfinals. Arsenal had a very easy way, let's be real. Obviously it was kind of halted a bit with injuries to Odegaard, to Saka, and all those things. But overall, Arsenal had a somewhat easy way in the group stages. We finished in top 8. We finished third in the group, in the league, in our own league. In the round of 16, we absolutely annihilated PSV. 7-1 away, 2-2 at home, heavily rotated team. We did that and we got to next round. And of course, Real Madrid. Real Madrid, who, to some extent, scraped their way into Champions League knockout stages, because there was a point where it was looking a bit shaky. They lost away to Lille and other results didn't go their way, but ultimately it's Real Madrid. You can never write them off, and that was a tough one for them, but they as well. Of course, pedigree did its own. Real Madrid, they don't take things easy. They're a completely different team compared to La Liga and Champions League, and they got the job done, and they are facing us into Champions League. Of course, there have been some issues, there have been some glamorous and insane moments for both of the teams, but ultimately, yeah, it's gonna be a rough one. As an Arsenal fan, personally, I am scared, because to some extent, this is the whole thing our season is riding on right now. Because in Premier League, it's pretty much done. Liverpool has it in the bag, unless Liverpool basically annihilate themselves somehow, and we managed to overtake them. But I just don't see it. Let's be real. I just don't see it. Yes, they just lost 3-1 to Fulham at home. Oh, sorry, away. But at home, obviously, they wouldn't be as lethargic away games compared to home games. Liverpool doesn't need much to win the league. We still have to face Liverpool ourselves. So there is definitely that. So yeah, so Arsenal's whole season is riding on this. Hence, Real Madrid, on the other hand, they're still in La Liga. They're fighting for the title, 4 points behind Barcelona, who are first, with 8 games to go. They are in Copa del Rey final, where they also gonna face Barcelona. But now the next challenge for them in Champions League is Arsenal. Arsenal, as I said, are ridiculed with injuries, specifically defensively, which is a massive problem. And Real Madrid, let's be real, they are also facing certain injuries. The only difference between Arsenal and Real Madrid in those terms are that Arsenal fans are hyped, they say pray for Madrid, and they find excuses when we lose. Real Madrid hold everyone accountable despite everything. So what I thought was kick things off today, and the first thing we're gonna talk about before we get into Arteta's interview, before we get into starting 11, predictions, all that stuff. Let's talk about key aspects of the game. And the first one, of course, is super duper Mikel Arteta himself. Not his first rodeo in Champions League quarterfinals. We saw how it went last year. A bit scared, a bit naive to some extent. We have seen over the seasons that he can do job many times as well. Have to give him where credit is due. He has transformed this team. We are where we are. At the same time, as much he has done good to some extent, there are many things he has done wrong, and many Arsenal fans don't agree with. And I must say, it's gonna be a rough one. But let's talk first things first about Mikel Arteta. Then we're gonna talk about Ancelotti, or we're gonna talk about Arsenal's injuries. Then we kind of mix and match in that regard. So big up Elizabeth. Madrid will win, no doubt. It looks that way. It genuinely looks that way. That as an Arsenal fan, I can say. It's Real Madrid. Like, it's very hard to bet against them. Yes, in La Liga they are looking shaky defensively and all this stuff. You can get at them, but in Champions League it's completely different. Real Madrid, as I said, and here they know how to get the job done, especially when it gets to elimination stages. So it's not looking good. Our best hope, if that is even possible, for us to even have a fighting chance against Madrid at Bernabeu away next week, is if we win tomorrow by 2 goals. That's how I see it. If it's 2-0, 3-1, something like that, then there could be an opportunity. But if it's a draw, even if we lose, pretty much you can write the tie off. So time only will tell how that will go. But obviously it is some scary hours regarding that. But here we go. We talk about the manager, Mikel Arteta. 5.5 years at Arsenal at the end of the season. 800 million spent, bench is non-existent. Questionable tactical decisions, and as I said, as much as he has done some things good, there are many things that left much more to be desired, to say the least. Tactically, it feels like he has one idea and he sticks on it like stink on cheese, and he doesn't move away from it. If the plan A, what he has made, doesn't work, he has no plan B, plan C, plan D. He used to have it to a certain extent. Obviously, when nothing was working, he at least threw all the attackers on the pitch and see what sticks. It worked once against Bournemouth in the 3-2 2 years ago, and he did it on occasion ever since, but it hasn't worked out ultimately. Last year we saw at Allianz Arena, we went to play Bayern Munich, we are 1-0 down, and what we do, we sub on Eddie Bloody Nketiah, the king of Zamunda, up front to save the day. And now we don't even have that. As much as we wanted all Eddie Nketiah out, currently we don't even have that. This summer we signed a number 8, number 6, and we are playing him up top, who actually is doing somewhat decently good, by the way. He has never played striker, and he actually in recent times is doing good. Credit where credit is due to him. He has adapted to this situation, and he is doing it to the best of his abilities. And to a certain extent, he's actually doing better than Havertz. Merino has scored some goals that Havertz could not score. That is the big thing, and that kind of makes insane that the Havertz signing making a bit worse even. When you look at it, and let's be real, it's not ideal when you have 2 number 8s and you decide to play them up top at the end of the day. That is genuinely a mismanagement of funds, of situation, and money in general. But let's see how that goes. But back to Mikel Arteta. We cannot even say he's learning on the job, because 5.5 years, you should be knowing how to figure certain things out. And the biggest issue with him is, at least in Premier League specifically, he still cannot figure shit out. That's the biggest issue here. He always, when we face low block, we are clueless. We still persist on inverting instead of overlapping, which for me makes much more sense to stretch the game, stretch the midfield, because with Arsenal, the best thing you can do is pack the midfield. Because if we cannot find these half spaces where to run in, to give the pocket passes, we cannot do anything. And obviously we rotate a lot. We are on a free roam in a way in the attack. We sometimes see number 8 playing left wing and a left back playing right wing on random occasion. So that's the big issue. The substitutions as well. He has spent all this money and we have nobody to sub on to change the game. That is also a very questionable thing, because the best options currently we have off the bench, you could argue, are Vanieri, who is 17, You could argue there is Trossard, but he again is a hot and cold type of player. If he's on it, he's on it. If he's not, he generally stinks out the place to the maximum extent. And then there's Kieran Tierney, who we sub on as a left back, who we sub on as a left wing, and he works great both places. It's kind of a shame that it's not just kind of, it's a massive shame that we have basically destroyed everything this far, that we are leaving him let go on free, and that he even doesn't consider staying at Arsenal after everything. So Mikel Arteta, yes, he has done some good things, but definitely there are 10 times more to left to be desired. Tactically, also signing wise and everything, maybe Andrea Berta could change that. But this won't be his first rodeo, obviously, in the Champions League in quarterfinals, but you could say that this arguably is one of the biggest games, if not the biggest game he will face. Definitely the biggest game as a coach. One of the biggest games in general in his career. Real Madrid definitely will be something unique to him. And here is the big thing. We are going up against, or specifically Mikel Arteta in this regard. He's going up against this guy. Whoa, this looks very bad. He's going up against this guy, which is genuinely not a good thing. He's going up against Carlo Ancelotti. And if people want to say what Ancelotti has done, trust me, he has done a lot, to say the least. Even when he was at Everton, he managed to school Mikel Arteta on both occasions. Both occasions he managed to do it. So that already is a massive, massive advantage for him. He's the most successful coach in Real Madrid's history. And they are even screaming Real Madrid fans to sack him because the performances are not up to par. They are not on top of the table. They have won 2 trophies. They can win 3 more this season. And Real Madrid are so accustomed to winning, and they should be, given their situation, their career, their history and everything, that they, even fans, deem him not good enough anymore. They want a change. Whether it's going to be Xabi Alonso afterwards remains to be seen, but ultimately right now we are facing him. And we are not just facing Real Madrid as in players with your Mbappes, Rodrigos, Vini, Valverde, Modric, Camavinga, Rudiger, Casillas, Courtois, and all these guys. We are also fanning Carlo Ancelotti. Top tactician. He can out-tactic anyone. We have seen this. Real Madrid, he knows how to win these games. These elimination stage games where you see Real Madrid to play one way, when it goes to Champions League, he flips the switch and they play completely different way. In a way that basically gets them over the line. Sometimes it's not pretty, sometimes you may not agree with it, but he gets the results at the end of the day. And we saw that in Champions League final against Liverpool. Real Madrid felt like they parked the bus massively. Yes, Courtois had game of his life, but it felt like he was like a wall. You could not get anything past him. Few counters and they capitalized. And that for me is one of the biggest issues with Arsenal. We're going to talk about it a bit later on. But yeah, Carlo Ancelotti knows how to do it. And when the game also is going bad, you see that left eyebrow he has raised. Once he raises it during the game, everyone in Real Madrid knows it's go time. You either fix up, you fix the situation, you fix the problem, you fix everything what is going wrong, or you're gonna get it. And whether you like it or not, it works. He doesn't panic, he doesn't lose his head in dressing rooms, he doesn't lose his head anywhere. He's always calm, level-minded, and he knows how to get it over the line and get the job done. So that is a big issue. Big issue for Mikel Arteta. Every time he has come up against a top tactician in the game, more often than not he has folded. And Mikel Arteta's record in elimination stage games is genuinely shockingly awful. Even if he manages to get a decent result in the first leg, he always manages to ball the second leg. And it doesn't matter if the second leg is at home, if the second leg is away, if the second leg is in a different country or wherever. He always manages to ball it. We saw it in Europa League against... obviously we saw it in Europa League against Villarreal. When away we got a somewhat decent result, we ball it at home. Against Sporting Lisbon, we got a decent result away, we ball it at home. Against Porto, we lost away, and we almost balled it at home as well. And against Bayern Munich, we drew at home and we lost away. Same goes even in FA Carabao Cups. He manages to get somewhat decent result in one leg and then he gets absolutely annihilated in the second leg. Obviously, this year with Newcastle, it's a completely different story, but at the same time, everything sticks and it's not a pretty look. So we are looking at Carlo Ancelotti, and that is one of the biggest scares you can imagine as an Arsenal fan. But now let's look at some players that Arsenal gonna miss or could impact the game quite massively. And we're kicking things off, and this is a nuts big picture. I'm very sorry about that. I didn't expect it to be so big. That's what she said. Anyways, but yeah, we are kicking things off with Gabriel Magalhaes. I need to make it as I go because still to this day I haven't figured out how to fix my screen capture because it's not working. It's a black screen and it really pisses me off. I will find to figure it out somehow at one day, but for now it's not working. But the first player that Arsenal are gonna miss dearly in these games is Gabriel. Because it didn't matter who we play in a way in Champions League. One of the biggest cornerstones, one of the biggest pillars this team had before Gabriel went down was our defense. Because our defense, whether you like it or not, was the best and strongest part of the team. Defensively, we were sound. We didn't concede many goals, which gave us some sort of an advantage if we can, if for example it's our day and we can finish chances. If we are clinical in front of the goal somehow, it gave us chances against anyone. But now with Gabriel being out, it's a completely different situation. Gabriel for Arsenal in the last year and a half more precisely, has been the best defender in the team. And that is saying a lot. Because for me, against Real Madrid, you desperately need a defender of the type of Gabriel, who doesn't mind doing the dirty work, who is always in the face of an opponent, who can lock someone up, who doesn't mind putting in a harsh challenge just to show them who we are. Gabriel was epitome for that, for me. And he actually should be the Arsenal's captain, not Martin Odegaard. And now we are sitting here, and we are basically debating. We're gonna do the predicted 11 in a bit towards the end part of the stream. But we are debating what's gonna happen. Will we have Kivior at center back, Ben White, Urian Timber? Who are we gonna play as a center back? That for me now is the biggest question. Because for me it doesn't matter anyways who we gonna put there. They are not going to be the level that Gabriel could have been. Gabriel and Saliba for Arsenal are the main pillars of why we are where we are. Because without those two in the partnership, and I'm not over exaggerating this, we would not be second. Even second this day. We would be just fighting for top 4 at best. And that for me is a big miss, big issue, and a big question mark. How Mikel Arteta is gonna find and fix this situation. Because for the biggest game of his managing career, of most of Arsenal's players' careers, we are without our best center back, best defender. And that is already somewhat worrying and in some level beginning of the end. Now next one is Bukayo Saka. And here comes the other part. In December, he torn a hamstring. He got a surgery, and he is back. Whether he's rushed or not, it's up to debate. It's up to you how you see it. For me, he shouldn't be playing. Let him give him the rest, fully recover, and start playing him in preseason and then next season. Right? But he's back. I'm happy that he's back. Let's be real. I'm very concerned about his health long term. That's the biggest thing, because this guy, for the age he is, has been ran into the ground like nothing else, like nobody else. He has carried this team on his shoulders single-handedly, and it's sickening that still he has not a proper backup. You can say it's Ranieri now, but it's not. Let's be real. We need someone more experienced. As an understudy, Ranieri is fantastic. Let's be real. But for a player who can come on, obviously time only will tell. But in a way, it's not it. Ranieri got lucky to some extent that he got played as much as he did, and he showed what he can do. So that is only advantage to him and to Arsenal in general. You could argue maybe Arsenal have saved some bucks in terms of that not finding a replacement. But Bukayo Saka, he has just come back 2 weeks ago. He has played against Fulham for 30 minutes. He has played a one half against Everton. And now the biggest question remains, will he start against Real Madrid? Because Mikel Arteta, in his interview, which we're gonna get in a second, has said that there is a possibility and he actually might start. Now the other part to that is, I have no idea. Elizabeth have no faith in the team or belief. Like, it's hard to have it. Let's be real, it's hard to have it these days. It's very hard to have it. But Bukayo Saka is gonna play. There's no argument about that. Will he start is a completely different question, although it looks like he might be starting tomorrow. And this will be... It's very hard to the extent that he has just come back from injury. He hasn't been fully fit still. It feels like he definitely needs to pick up the pace. He still needs to get into the game shape and everything. And we have basically instantly thrown him into the deep end against the biggest lion you can imagine, and basically sink or swim, win or basically put his career on the line. Because if he gets injured once again on the same knee, there's a big possibility his career is done to some extent. Let's be real. So that is definitely a big, massive question mark that will need an answer. But the biggest issue is he is our biggest creative spark and biggest danger man we have up top. So you can bet your sweet ass that Carlo Ancelotti most likely is gonna play Camavinga as a left back to try and clamp him up, because he's more agile, more mobile, he knows how to defend, and he can push start attacks for Real Madrid. So there's no shadow of a doubt that Bukayo Saka will have his work cut out for him. Definitely will have his work cut out for him. Injured or not, fully recovered or not, it's gonna be insane test to say the least. I'm wishing him the best, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen with that. And the other player is, who is like an X factor to me at the moment, which basically will decide potentially how we're gonna look in the attack, is this guy, Gabi Martinelli. He's been very questionable, very suspect, and let's be real, quite awful throughout the whole season. However, in the one of the last games against Fulham, he was fantastic. Against Everton, he looked very, very good. So the question is he coming back? Is he recapturing the form at the right time? Because if we want to have any chance against Real Madrid, we need to have Martinelli in the best possible form. Hopefully that is the case tomorrow. Hopefully he can do it against Vasquez or Valverde, whoever Carlo Ancelotti may decide to play at right back. Valverde is still a bit under the question mark, so there's a big chance it's gonna be Vasquez. And let's be real, Vasquez defensively is very poor. Very, 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 very suspect. So Martinelli should be having a field day against him to a certain extent. I just hope he doesn't forget he is Brazilian, and we see the same level, and even better level of Martinelli of what we saw from him against Fulham and in 22-23 season. Because for these games, if we get Martinelli we got 2 seasons ago, it will be insane. That could give us some sort of a fighting chance, even higher than we are expecting right now. So we'll see how this goes, but Martinelli definitely, he has the ability to be the X factor in the team 100%, specifically attack. Because attack, as much as we are worried about defense, attack is also a massive, massive issue. Because even if our defense holds up, we need attack to score goals. And even if our attack scores goals, then we need our defense to hold up. And this is the biggest thing. Prime Martinelli 2025. That is the hope. Genuinely, that is the hope. Yes, I know I'm sounding like a top gooner to some extent and everything. But I just, it's Real Madrid. It's very hard not to get high for the game. I want to be realistic, so I'm trying to be somewhat balanced for this stream more specifically. Because in Premier League, it's a completely different story. Let's be real. It's also very interesting how Real Madrid are going to play. So you're going to look that in 1 second. I know he ain't as good as last season, but we are a lot better mentally than last season. The team will give their all. No, I'm not arguing the team is not going to give them all. Saliba, Rice, they all will want to win. The question is, it's one thing wanting this, the other thing is doing it. And that for me is the biggest question mark left to answer because we have not seen it. That for me is the biggest worry. And the other player which is under some questions for me personally is Jakub Kivior. That is the other guy for me under questions. Because obviously we have no idea what Arteta is gonna put out. We're gonna do predicted 11 and everything in the towards the end part of the stream, as I said. Whether it's gonna be White at center back, whether it's gonna be Timber at center back, whether it's gonna be Kivior at center back. The thing is, if it's Kivior, because arguably he's the most natural center back recently we have. You can argue it's Timber, you can argue it's White, but Kivior has played center back against Everton, against others, and there is the biggest thing. If he plays at center back, what Kivior we could see? Because as good things and good blocks and as good defensive efforts Kivior has done, most of Arsenal fans remember him by tying his shoelaces as the other team scores, as getting love with the over-the-top ball against Liverpool and against other teams, which results into conceding a goal. And that is the biggest question. Because Kivior obviously is very raw. He doesn't have the game experience. He needs to be to that level. And that again is a big, big worry for me going forward, going long term, and potentially doing anything against Real Madrid. That for me is the biggest question mark as well to all of this. So time obviously only will tell how it's gonna go, where it's gonna go, but definitely it's gonna be a rough one no matter how you look at it. I'm not gonna lie, I'm quite scared for this. I'm very, very scared for this game, and I'm very, very excited at the same time. And when Real attack, they attack as a team and unit. We need to do that too. Obviously, that is the biggest thing. Real attack as a unit. If we can withstand that pressure when they attack, and we manage to nick the ball, we also need to attack as a unit to a certain extent. Obviously, we cannot forget about defense, but also we just cannot give one outlet pass to Martinelli and just see what he does. Or make him hold the possession until he gets pressed and he loses the possession whilst other players get into position. We need to support each other, and that is the biggest thing in this time on the pitch. Against Real Madrid, it's one for all and all for one. And you are only as strong as your weakest link. And that for Real Madrid will be the biggest question mark. Can we actually cover each other and we can fight for each other? Because sometimes it feels like one player leaves, other one hung out to dry. It feels that way when we concede. It feels like when we make these stupid mistakes defensively or in the attack. And we'll see how it's gonna go in that regard. But yeah, Kivior also, he's another one that has lots and lots of answers to be still waiting to happen in terms of him. Now, going back to Mikel Arteta. Not Mikel Arteta, but in Arsenal in general. There is no shadow of a doubt that Arsenal have defensive issues. And injury issues in general. Arsenal are missing Gabriel. As much, whether you like him or not, Arsenal are missing Havertz. And Saka has just come back from injury. Odegaard is pretty much useless on the pitch half the time. And we are playing a number 6 as a striker. That's basically what it is. Ben White has just come back from injury. Well, it looks that way. Timber has just come back from a knock. And he was ill during the international break. So again, there are question marks regarding that. He went down against Fulham. Again, more question marks over that. So again, there are more questions than answers. And tomorrow we will get those answers. I would like to think so. What is happening, how it's gonna go, and whether anything will change. But yeah, Mikel Arteta, yeah, Odegaard, worst scam of all time in football history, just been him start the match. Like, that's the biggest thing. Odegaard, as a captain in games like these, should be the one who leads by example, right? There's no argument about that. However, watching Odegaard play in tough times for Arsenal, it's the worst thing you can ever imagine. He takes too many touches. In the games like these, you cannot take too many touches. You need to release the ball quickly. Because if you hold that ball up for one extra touch, the moment is gone to give the pass, to have a chance, to have opportunity to score. And Odegaard tends to do that, kills the momentum of the attack. Odegaard disappears when we struggle. He's a free weather player, basically. When the weather is good, he plays fantastic. When the weather is bad, he is arguably one of the worst ones on the pitch. And this is the Odegaard derby as well to some extent. Because Odegaard came to us from Real Madrid. So again, will Odegaard be motivated? Because he definitely will, let's be real. But will he show it? Will he actually exude it? Will he actually prove it? Completely different story once again. And that is another question that needs to be answered. Because we need Odegaard to step up in these big games. He hasn't done it for 2.5 years. And that again is another question mark, which basically could be the reason why Arsenal succeed to a certain extent. Or they even crash and burn even harder. So Odegaard, another player that if he is on it, it could be quite fantastic. I'm not gonna lie. Just like Martinelli, if we can see the Martinelli we saw against Fulham, Everton, and even better, like 22-23 season, we have a chance even bigger. We have extra outlet, we have an extra X factor. And if Odegaard can step up for a change and not be useless as he usually is, unfortunately, that is the biggest thing. Then we could do. Can Sol Campbell play? Dude, and Thierry Henry can play, and Pires and all these guys. Because I was looking at the 2006 Arsenal's team, right? 2006 Arsenal squad that faced Real Madrid at Bernabeu when we won 1-0. Listen to this team. Listen to this team. Goalkeeper, Jens Lehmann. Right back, Gilbert. Center backs, Kolo Toure and, I kid you not, Felipe Senderos. Left back, Eboué. Two midfielders, Cesc Fabregas and Matthew Flamini. Kid you not. Then right mid, Alexander Hleb. Right mid, Jose Antonio Reyes. May he rest in peace. Number 10, Freddie Ljungberg, and the striker, of course, King Titi, Thierry Henry. Off the bench in 76th minute, we subbed on Bobby Pires. In 80th minute, Abu Diaby. By the way, we subbed on Abu Diaby. And in 90 plus 5 for Fabregas, Alexander Song came on. Obviously, the manager at the time, Arsene Wenger. Let's be real. That made a massive difference as well. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, that team on paper looks very weird because there are Senderos, there is Flamini, and players like that. But at the same time, there's Henry, there's Fabregas. Like basically a kid. Fabregas was a kid back then, and he carried the team. Let's be real. His uniform looked like he was wearing a bedsheet pretty much. But he still carried the team in that game. Recognize this as well. We didn't have someone like out and out number 6. We had 2 8s, one more creative, one more defensive box-to-box type. We didn't have an out and out number 6. And what's more important, which we're gonna get in a second when we do predicted 11, we played 4-2-3-1 with double pivot, which is one of the formations Real Madrid this season struggle quite heavily against. That is also a thing. Real Madrid quite heavily this season tends to struggle against double pivot formation in 4-2-3-1. So will Mikel Arteta exploit that? Because I've said this as well for weeks that Arsenal should try that. Is a very interesting one. Big up Nathan. Big up my guy. Yeah, Ljungberg, insane Fabregas, King Titi. Like Nathan, I just went over the Arsenal's team that beat Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. And yeah, it was nuts, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, Mikel Arteta, so the injury issues. And let's be real, let's not act like we are the only team with injury issues. Real Madrid have those as well. Militao is out. Ceballos is out at least for this game, definitely. Valverde is under a question mark. David Alaba is whatever that is. Carvajal is out with ACL. They have injuries as well. but they don't use it as an excuse for why they lose games, for why they draw games. Fan base and everyone else demands other players to step up massively. In our fan base, use it as an excuse for others. Oh, he didn't have this, he didn't have that. This player was injured. If we had this, if we had that. If my man had wheels, should be a train, for fuck's sake. Like, keep players accountable. Yes, we played 0-0 draw at the Emirates, and we beat Real Madrid at Bernabeu. First English team to do that, by the way, if I'm not mistaken as well. Arsenal beat Real Madrid 1-0 at the Bernabeu. Titi got the ball at the center circle, ran through everyone, like 3-4 players, and then shot it with his weak foot across the body, and Casillas didn't make the save. Yeah, Tchouaméni's suspension is good for us. However, he's been very suspect for Real Madrid, so could be a loss but could not. Valverde was in training today. That is a big worry. And the big question is, Valverde is also playing through an injury, by the way. Just like Courtois. But Valverde, will he be right back or will he be midfield? Because if he plays midfield, we might get overrun. But at the same time, it means Vasquez is a right back, which means Martinelli could have a field day out there if he is on top. If he actually is on the form we would like to think he is, because Vasquez at right back is genuinely like a hole, so there is hope. Yeah, Courtois is playing through injury. Basically, Courtois will be playing through injections most likely to some extent, because he is somewhat back but not fully back. But he is gonna play mostly because Real Madrid don't want to play an under 16 goalkeeper against us. That is the biggest thing, let's be real. Ceballos is out, yeah, 100%. I think with Tchouaméni out, Valverde will start midfield, maybe then and right back. That could be the case most likely, because Real Madrid most likely will start the midfield of Modric, Bellingham, and potentially Camavinga or Valverde. If most likely it will be Valverde in the midfield, and Camavinga might actually start as a left back. He might actually start as a left back. Obviously, time will tell, but he might start as a left back. And they will start Vasquez as a right back, and at some point during the game, they will sub on someone in the midfield like Diaz or someone and put Valverde as a right back and take Vasquez off. I think that could be the case. Ceballos is... Nah, he's not gonna play us. Ceballos is back, but him playing against Arsenal in Emirates is pretty much 99% unlikely. Ceballos most likely will play against Arsenal at the Bernabeu. That's how it looks like at the moment currently, based on reports and what Real Madrid sources are claiming at least. Modric, Valverde, Bellingham will start in the midfield, most likely. Most likely that will be the midfield, and Valverde will go right back at some point most likely. Especially if Ancelotti sees that Martinelli is cooking Vasquez quite consistently. Camavinga, yeah, I think so. Obviously, they have Fran Garcia, but I'm not too sure. I'm not too sure about Fran Garcia as a left back. Wait, let me check. What was the Real Madrid left back? Real Madrid versus Valencia starting 11. Let me check what was the starting 11. They had Fran Garcia as a left back, and they subbed on Camavinga there. So I think they will start Camavinga there. I think. I would like to think so. Another thing is, though, it looks like, based on the formations and everything, Real Madrid already against Valencia played a 4-4-2, which already Carlo Ancelotti indicated that there is a possibility that he might play that. That he might actually play that solely due, for obvious reasons, let's just put it that way, to crowd the midfield and stop us because we suck against low blocks. Let's just say it as it is. Let's just say it as it is. Well, Valverde, if he manages to take along, to be honest, I wouldn't be shocked if he gets at least one off. But yeah, it will be very, very interesting to see. Anyhow, now bear with me here. I still haven't managed to get, by the way, window capture to work. So it will be a semi-ghetto experience for the time being until I actually manage to make it work. Because for some weird reason, I cannot install any of the new OBS versions. I'm working with the one that is basically 3 years old. I cannot, if I update OBS to the latest one, it doesn't work. It instantly glitches out. So I unfortunately cannot get goddamn window capture work. So what we're gonna do will be a bit ghetto. So bear with me here, okay? We're gonna do this, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do this. You see? Interview? You can see? Mikel Arteta's interview? I hope so, at least. I hope you can see Mikel Arteta's interview. I really, 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 really hope so. Really hope you can see it. Yeah, most likely they will play 4-4-2. Most likely, yeah. Vinny left. Vinny is gonna play left wing. Rodrigo right wing, right mid. Oh no, Vinny is gonna be striker, isn't he? Yeah, so most likely something like that. Brahim Diaz left mid. Vinny, Mbappe striker. Rodrigo right mid. Or Mbappe and Rodrigo strikers. Vinny left mid. Brahim Diaz or Arda Güler as the right mid. Bellingham, Modric center, or Valverde, Modric center mids, or it's gonna be, or Valverde is gonna play right mid. That also could be the case. In 4-4-2, they might play Valverde as the right mid just to help Vasquez out and kind of to try and cancel Martinelli out as well. Anyhow, let's see. Mikel Arteta's interview. Let's see what he had to say. Let's see what Mikel Arteta had to say for the game. I know it looks very scuffed, it looks very ghetto, but bear with me here. Unfortunately, I cannot do anything about it. Unfortunately, I'm very, very sorry about that. Fuck's sake, I cannot figure this shit out. We need to go 5-4-1 then. We could, because that's how Valencia played on the weekend against Real Madrid at Bernabeu, and they won 2-1, by the way. Anyways, interview. On if everyone's available following the weekend. Yes, looks like it. We have another training session this afternoon, but Ben White finished that game. We had to stop him over time because he hasn't played much football, but he was fine after the game. And with the rest, they went through the game and they were able to do some bits yesterday and ready to train today again. So that is somewhat positive. Anyways, on if he has decided who to replace Gabriel with. Yes, he has decided. There is also a follow-up question. Will he reveal that? He obviously smiled with his Grinch smile and said no. On if we need a special effort to get the result. 8 p.m. tomorrow night. 11 players, 60,000 people need to be really super convinced that we are ready to win and to beat them. That's the mindset that I want. The rest is be the team that we've been over the last quarter of the season. With all the ups and downs and things we have to deal with, we need to continue to do because that's our super strength. Super duper Miku about super duper strength. Hey, it is what it is, I guess. But yeah, tomorrow at the Emirates, the stadium best goddamn not sound like a library like it many times does in Premier League. That is one thing I'm definitely gonna say. On if Saka is fit enough to start. He's in a much better place. Gradually we have built his minutes in the last 6 or 7 days. He's coped with that really well and he's in a good place to be able to be used. Now the one thing is, Bukayo Saka also was with Mikel Arteta at the interview. And there is unwritten tradition that if a player goes with the manager to the interview, he tends to be starting next day for the next game. So maybe Bukayo Saka actually might be starting. And on if this kind of game is why he came into football. This is why he came into football. That's why I came into management and especially to this football club. It's been 20 years since we had this type of a game. And for us, it's a great opportunity to build our own story, and this is what we are here for. On if it's the biggest night in management, 100%. It's a joy to prepare the game, to look at them, just to look at the reaction of the people, and how we feel about ourselves coming into the game of this magnitude. The excitement around the club, the people, that's the stage we want to be here. Arsenal has to be consistently. We are very proud of what we've done, and tomorrow... Oh! We are very proud to be there, and now we are ready tomorrow to deliver. Well, man, he is promising they're gonna play some good football and we might actually do some proper watch and we could win actually. He better deliver you because you cannot say this stuff and not deliver, you know. And if we're due a bit of luck, I think we deserve it, but we have to earn it. That's true. You deserve the luck, but you have to earn the luck as well. And we have to earn it again tomorrow evening. We're going to pull all the ingredients, blah blah blah, on how to play the game and not the occasion. Well, I think they are convinced. If I have to convince them, I think we have a problem. It's the level of conviction regardless of what happens and any context that we have to play throughout this time. But they know exactly what they have to do. Well, 11 men behind the ball, park the bus and all this stuff, huh? That's what you think they need to do. Or what? On how not to worry about opposition. There are things that we cannot control, which is the what they are going to prepare and what they can do. We have to focus on our energy, has to be on that, understanding what puts us in our strengths and what puts us in our weaknesses and the direction that we want to play in the game. On the importance of going to Madrid with a lead on aggregate. It's very important, but it will be just the first leg, as you mentioned. The intention of the team is very clear. We want to achieve tomorrow what we're going to go for it. Oh, damn. We want to achieve tomorrow and we are going to go for it. So we are going for the win, apparently. Huh. That is some bold statements. You usually don't see Mikel Arteta say these things, by the way. You usually don't see Mikel Arteta say, for example, we are ready tomorrow to deliver and we want to achieve tomorrow and we are going to go for it. You usually don't hear Mikel Arteta say these things, do you? That is very, very interesting. Somehow he has either put his nuts on the table, as Kenny Ken would say, or he's just gaslighting. One of the two, basically. We'll see tomorrow, obviously. Tomorrow, when the game comes, we will obviously see what is what. On how important Odegaard has been since joining from Madrid. I think it's very important for the football club because we are recruited a player who fits every quality to deliver performances. Well, okay, cool. And if this one is the biggest matches of his coaching career, it is one of the most special things. It's a competition that we've been waiting for the many, many years. The fact that we've only been twice at this stage in 15 years with the size of Arsenal and the difficulty of that, we are going to create our own story and go even further. So basically he says they're gonna go even further. Holy crap, he's promising all these things. We're gonna deliver tomorrow, we're gonna go for it, and we're gonna go even further, dude. He's promising the win and everything, progressing through against Madrid. Holy crap. Mikel Arteta has grown some cojones for a change. Because this is something I want to see from my manager, from Arsenal Football Club manager, who speaks with some conviction, who speaks with some determination that we're gonna do this, we're gonna go for it, we're gonna achieve this. Because otherwise, for the previous years, how he has talked, he always beats around the bush and never says the things he needs to say. That is something I really like to see. That's actually kind of nuts. On Timber's versatility, it's incredible. Nobody probably realized the player that we've signed until he stepped through that door and started to show every quality that he has on the human side because he's a leader. That is nice to hear. On having a special plan to deal with Real's attack. Well, dealing with Vini, Rodrigo and Mbappe, including Arda Güler, Brahim Diaz, Endrick, Modric, Bellingham, definitely you need something. With individual qualities that they have, especially when you put them in certain situations, you know the danger that you are facing. But that's the stage, it doesn't get much bigger than that. What they have been doing this in competition is that they can create those moments. Yeah, Real Madrid creates moments. That is the biggest thing. And when it comes to the biggest stage, individual performance of players can decide a game and are critical for your success. And that's something that we have to prevent. And that is the big thing. Real Madrid Pretty much every single player they have in the team, right, has ability to decide the game on their own. Mbappe can do that, Vini can do that, Rodrigo can do that, Bellingham can do that, Valverde can do that, Brahim Diaz can do that, Arda Güler even can do that, Modric goes without saying he can do that. So, if we look at Arsenal, our best opportunity is Bukayo Saka, and he's ready, what, for about 50-60%? So we don't actually have any of these moments type players who can create brilliance out of nothing, who can make diamonds out of nothing. And that is one of the biggest reasons of why Arsenal are where they are. They're always close to achieving a goal, but they never manage to achieve it. Because we don't have these moments players. We don't have these players who out of nothing all of a sudden create something. We just have players that play as a team and who basically are in a cohesion with others. That is the biggest thing. 2006, let's not talk about that. On whether this fixture holds a special significance for him as a Spaniard. It does mean a lot. It's a club that has set new standards in world football. That's why they've done it in more than nobody else. So that's an inspiration for any manager, any club. This is where we want to be. This is where we want to belong. And these opportunities have to be taken in order to go into certain direction. Okay, cool. I don't know if you're in a better place since last season quarterfinal. I think we are. Well, experience-wise, yes. Performance-wise, no. And squad-wise, also no. So it's a bit of a yikes. And if we didn't express ourselves properly in that game against Bayern, 100%. On Real Madrid's aura, this is the one thing when aura actually is reused properly, because Real Madrid is that club that pretty much signifies aura. That is the biggest thing, especially when it's at Bernabeu. It signifies aura. That is the biggest thing. On the supporters making an impact right throughout the night. I hope. I encourage them to come very early to the warm-up and create those nights that we haven't lived many of the Emirates Stadium, so that's an opportunity again. When we have built history, we have to build moments, and the moment is being built with our people. Holy crap. The biggest thing is, though, all these things being said, we're gonna go for it. We are ready. We're gonna achieve greatness. We're gonna progress potentially further and all this stuff. This is something I want to hear. The biggest thing is, whenever Arsenal come under the pressure, they fold. Last time we said pressure is a privilege, we lost to United, didn't we? Or to Newcastle in the cup. That was the last time when we tweeted out pressure is a privilege, and that very nicely backfired. Before that, we signed a cold dog win, and 2 days later, we lost and handed Man City the title. So that also backfired on us. So that is a big, big worry. We have to create that energy, that belief, that enthusiasm to play every single action there, because the bonus, the confidence that gives you, there's nothing else that we can replicate. I can tell players constantly to maintain that throughout the 95 minutes that the game is going to be played. And this is one of the biggest things. Against Real Madrid, and in these games in general, right? You cannot basically lose focus for a second. You need to be switched on, locked in, from bell to bell. Full 90 plus at the time. And you can tell that there are many times when our players play, they switch off. You can tell that because all of a sudden we start to make stupid mistakes. Other team starts to pick up momentum, they gain control of the possession. And the biggest thing is, you know how we concede chances against Everton, how we concede chances against Fulham and other teams, right? They don't convert them solely because they don't have the ability, they don't have good enough players. Against Real Madrid and teams like this, these moments, these chances, they have the players to convert them into goals. And that is one of the biggest worries because we gonna give away chances. The issue is against smaller teams, they fumble them because they don't have players in quality. Real Madrid have quality all across the place, all over the place. And they know how to finish them. So that for me is a big issue in that regard. Whether it's gonna happen or not, obviously, only time will tell, and it all remains to be seen. Anyhow, starting 11 and all this jazz, we're gonna look at that right now. I wonder how Real will attack against us, if they will go all out attack or low press attack. I think, based on how Ancelotti has indicated it and how he has talked about these things, I have a very strong feeling he's gonna sit back. In 4-4-2, he's gonna sit back, park the bus and all that stuff, and then he's gonna go from there, basically. He's gonna go from there. That for me is the biggest thing. I think he's gonna play it like that. He's gonna go from the back and move forward. Yeah, Real Madrid has the most ore in all of Europe. Definitely, without shadow of a doubt, and that is the biggest thing. Well, goalkeeper is Raya. There's no argument about that. I'm not gonna put Neto in goal, you know. David Raya. See? David Raya. Now, after that, it gets tricky. Let's be real. After that, it gets kind of tricky. I'm not gonna lie. Now, for me, we most likely are gonna play 4-3-3. How it's gonna look and shape, it doesn't matter. Even in 4-2-3-1, it all looks the same. It's just different type. Right back, for me, is gonna be Jurrien Timber. And he played a few minutes. He's looking solid still. He is arguably one of the best performers for Arsenal this season, especially coming back from the ACL injury and everything. And the sheer purpose why I'm not putting Ben White as a right back is because Ben White, Jurrien Timber, I give him more of a trust to deal with Vinicius Jr. That is the biggest thing. We all know that Ben White is decent and good actually going forward. Defensively, he tends to be hit and miss. Right? And Timber, in that regard, shows very big consistency and very big strength and trust in those terms. So hence why I'm going for Jurrien Timber as a right back. Two center backs. And this is where it gets kinda nuts, I'm not gonna lie. Ben White as the right center back, Saliba as the left center back. Or vice versa, depends how you look at these things. You can go it like that, or you can go it like that. That for me is gonna be the defensive line. We are not gonna play three at the back. I already can tell you that much. Arteta used it for one season, for half a season even, and he's never reverted back to ever since. And to randomly throw it in a Champions League game when players have not played the formation whatsoever, that would be pure on suicide. So it's not gonna be basically three at the back. I'm just gonna say it right now. Left back spot is the one which basically for me is the biggest question mark. Because we have technically three players who can play there. Kivior, I don't want to see as a left back. Well, Zinchenko, then four. Zinchenko, I don't want to see there as well. For me, the biggest coin toss in these games, in this specifically, is between Miles Lewis-Skelly and Kieran Tierney. Because Miles Lewis-Skelly, as good as he has been for us, he's most dangerous one who can carry the ball forward. We saw that against Everton, how he dribbled between 6-7 people, and it took Tarkowski deliberate yellow card foul on the edge of Everton's box to stop him, right? However, it's insane game. It's a massive game. And I think he might actually get burnt out. For me personally. So I don't think Skelly should be the right answer. For me, there is only one option. and that is Kieran Tierney. First things first, he has played in La Liga, so he knows how that football goes to some extent, right? But Tierney is solid as they come defensively. He is as solid as they come. So we're gonna see how that goes. Going forward, yes, he doesn't invert, which Mikel Arteta apparently absolutely hates by the looks of things. But yeah, otherwise, overlapping, phenomenal. Cross the ball, best crosser in the team, arguably best crosser in the league. Whenever he comes on, he puts on a cross and it's always on the money. Pepper wants to go in for double pivot, which I'm totally agreeing upon. And he wants Raya, Timba, White, Saliba, Tierney. So far we agree. Party, Rice, Saka, Vanieri, Martinelli, Merino. I see. Double pivot, well, basically you wanna do this. You basically wanna go 4-2-3-1. You wanna see this basically. Because Real Madrid recent times has struggled against double pivots quite heavily. Yes, they lost to Valencia, who are not playing double pivot. They played 5-4-1, but I think it would be the dumbest decision of his life, basically, to play 5 at the back, because the players don't know how to play it, or 3 at the back. Obviously, Thomas Partey goes in the midfield, and I would put Declan Rice there as well. Now, this is where it's gonna get kinda nuts, so bear with me here. Mikel Merino goes at striker. Martinelli goes on the left. Now, it looks like Saka is going to start, so I'm gonna put him in the team. This number 10 spot is the biggest question mark. It's the biggest question mark. It's either Odegaard or it's either Ethan Vanieri. Now, it has advantages and disadvantages on both sides. Let's just put it that way. With Odegaard, most likely it's gonna be a shit show, right? It will be over-touched, over slowed down the play and everything. Safe passing, back to keeper, no risky business, which feels like Arteta basically has said, if you make a risky pass, you're gonna get hooked and you're gonna pay me 10,000 fine. And I don't know what you're gonna do. You're gonna scoop win the dog's poop off the training ground. Basically, it feels like that's what he has said to them. Hence why we never play the risky passes. However, Vanieri is the one who would be very direct, very forward moved. He would work his socks off, let's be real, and he would go for it. Again, the biggest question is, would he rise to the occasion? Obviously, if we don't test him out, we will not find out. Right? The biggest problem with this is Vanieri is the only strong bright spot we can sub on them. That is for me the biggest drawback. Because if we don't have Vanieri on the bench, we have nobody to sub on for Saka. We have nobody to sub on for Odegaard even. And that for me is the biggest question mark in all of this. Knowing Mikel Arteta, knowing that Odegaard held bench against Everton, I would be inclined to think that most likely Martin Odegaard is going to start the game. That for me is the biggest thing. I would love to agree with Pepper. If it was up to me, I would do this. 100% if it was up to me, I would start this. But this again means we have no attacking impact coming off the bench, which is for me a big issue. You can say what you want. Trossard from the bench, he's the answer there. Trossard, with Trossard, it's the biggest thing. With Trossard, it's very hit and miss. Because if Trossard is fantastic, he is fantastic. If he is shit, well, he is shit. That's the biggest issue. You say Raheem the Dream Sterling, right? Interesting thing about this is, I don't know if it's true or not, but there were rumors circulating that Raheem wasn't training with the squad today. Andrea Berta was at the training ground. They were youngsters, your growers, and people like that, and he wasn't training. And see, Nathan is saying he is suspended, and that is also the big thing. And by the way, Declan Rice is one yellow away from the suspension, if I'm not mistaken. So if he gets a yellow, he will not be playing at Bernabeu. If I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he is one of those players. He is one of those players. That is from the biggest thing. Exactly. See, and Camavinga and Modric one yellow away from suspension. The biggest thing about Real Madrid is it doesn't matter. Because Camavinga gets another yellow, well, he won't start at left back, they have Fran Garcia. Well, he won't start in midfield, they have Chouameni, who is suspended for this week. He's gonna be back next week. Okay, Modric gets suspended, they're gonna play Valverde there. They have players to rotate. They can put Brahim Diaz in the midfield if they want, so for creative spark. They have the ability to rotate. We don't have that. Imagine Raheem scores a winner at Bernabeu. Oh my goodness gracious. Imagine the scenes. I think it's gonna be like this. I strongly believe it's gonna be like this. Right? It's gonna be like this, and then there will be some substitutions. Because I think for the biggest game in the last 5 years of Arsenal's history, arguably, right? In the last 5 years of Mikel Arteta being the manager, I don't see him dropping the captain. As much as I don't agree that he is the bloody captain, I don't see him dropping him. That is for me the biggest thing. I swear, if Raheem Sterling scores the winner at Bernabeu for us to go through, oh my god, I think the Chelsea fan, right? His head is gonna be on bloody Mars. Genuinely. He already is annoyed that Kai Havertz scores for Arsenal, right? If Sterling scores the winner for Arsenal to go through, oh my goodness gracious, I think he will log off from the internet for a week. Genuinely, yeah, exactly. Ma would lose his shit. That genuinely would be cinema. On the big six as well, that would be total and utter cinema afterwards. Skullthuggery, definitely hope he does some job there. Yeah, big six would be nuts. If Jorginho scores a jammy penalty, dude, it would be cinema. The next Chelsea player puts Arsenal through. That would be genuinely cinema. Okay, we are talking some nonsense here, by the way. Arsenal going through to some extent, but hey, it is what it is. Dare to dream. Dare to dream. I would I'd go purpose nearest Arsenal girl outside the Emirates. I could Hey, yo, if that happens, clip this, yeah? And next time, I want to know when's the wedding, right? If that happens, by the way. I'm just gonna say you that. I'm just putting it out there. But anyways, I think that will be the 11 that, for me personally, right? I would start Ranieri here, right? This would be my 11 for the tomorrow's game. Knowing Arteta, it's gonna be Odegaard. Now the left side most likely is gonna be Skelly, right? Yeah, it's gonna be this. It's gonna be like this, most likely knowing Arteta, right? Could be, right? But for me, Tierney just makes 10 times more sense. 10 times more sense defensively and even going forward to some extent with overlapping. Wouldn't expose our left side as well with inverting, so that actually could be the case, that's how it should work, but hey, it is what it is. But anyways, guys, we have come down to predictions, which again, I'm scared shitless to even predict. I actually haven't thought about this. Throughout the whole goddamn day, I haven't thought about whether we're gonna win, or lose, or draw. I was just focusing on the stream. So right now, it's genuinely gonna be on the spot, on the dot. Prediction, Arsenal versus Real Madrid. Because in my head, I have two scenarios going on. Either it's gonna be somehow what Nathan is saying, Arsenal win, right? Somehow. That is one thing that's going through my head. Other thought that is going through my head, right, is the fact that game is done by halftime. Real Madrid come, we control possession. Real Madrid hits us on 2-3 counters, they score 2, and the tie basically is done by halftime. That is the other thought going through my head. And for me personally, for Arsenal to have a chance, to even have a chance to go through at Bernabeu, right, when we go to Spain next week, is to win by 2 goals. We need to win 3-1, 2-0, something like that, to have a chance at Bernabeu to go through, right? But for me, I'm caught in between those two minds. Either we're gonna win by 1 goal, 1-0, unlikely, but let's see, 2-1, something like that. Or the game is gonna be done by halftime and we're gonna lose. That for me, and the tie also is gonna be gone by halftime. Those two thoughts, or by the end of the game, basically. So those two are going through my head. He will copy Atleti game plan, score and sit back. Like you see, this sit backs thing, right? If we had Gabriel, I wouldn't have as much worry. We don't have Gabriel, I have a worry. Yeah, this time tomorrow we are playing Madrid. It's gonna be... Generally, the second half would have been just started. The shit is real, genuinely. Yes, see, Nathan as well. Pepper as well, similar thought going through my head. I'm gonna be positive. I'm gonna say we gonna win 2-1. 2-1 Arsenal. I've said it, I'm sticking with this. We gonna win the game 2-1. Those are my thoughts and my expectations. Hopefully. Top Gunner Robo says the guy who predicted 2-1 few seconds ago. But yeah, but in all seriousness, I just want... Basically, I just want for second part of the game, the replay, to have something riding on it, basically. That is the biggest reason why am I predicting 2-1. Because in all reality, there's a big possibility that by the 90 minutes tomorrow, Real Madrid will walk away from Emirates with a win. That is the biggest thing. Well, obviously, there is a chance. But if we lose at home 2-0, right? Or 3-1 at Emirates, do you think we have a chance at Bernabeu? Yeah, game might open up at some point, definitely. Yeah, that's the thing. That is the biggest thing. I just want a good edge, basically. Yeah, if we draw, if we win, we have a chance. If we draw, there's a less of a chance, but there's still a chance. If we lose, might as well pack it up. That's how I see it, at least. Basically, what I want from tomorrow's game is something to basically play for in the next one. And that is the biggest worry for me. Because we have these players have never played such a caliber game. Exactly, if we lose, I also cannot see it. That's the biggest thing. That's even worse, by the way. That is even worse. That is even worse. But yeah, I think on that note as well, I think we have covered it. We have talked about Arteta, we have talked about Ancelotti, we have talked about injuries, Arteta's press conference, tactics, potential situations, substitutions, how the game could go, and we have done predictions. So I think for today, from me, that will be it. See you guys on Wednesday. Obviously, Arsenal play tomorrow, so no stream tomorrow, of course. Genuinely. Let's hope. Let's genuinely hope. But yeah, in all seriousness, let's just hope something good happens tomorrow. If you haven't already subscribed, hit the like button. See you all on Wednesday. See you all on the other side, as Pepper is saying. Hopefully, in a positive side. Take care and enjoy the game tomorrow. Peace.